Stave Blasters was a summer holiday program for music theory I taught that was intended to fast track students from grades 1, so knowing nothing about music theory, through to grade 4 in the space of 8 2-hour sessions that involved lots of games and lots of making and crafts, and it was a summer holiday program.
So over the course of 16 hours, you would advance
kids
students.
from no theory.
Wow.
Didn't work as well as I'd hoped, but we had fun, and it was a summer holiday program.
Right.
So, and also it was partly that was the intention, but obviously through doing it, certain discoveries were made about what kids do retain and things like that. So, taking stuff from that and taking stuff from my own research for my master's degree, I developed what's called ATOM, the ATOM program, which is Activated Theory of Music.
Right.
So it's still got a fast, sexy name. But it's called ATOM.
Yes.
So we do the ATOM program.
Okay.
So Stave Blasters was just the sum program.
Right.
ATOM is kind of like the regular program. And this is what I use with my students now.
Right.
And it's still based on the same principles, but having done some research in it, there's new things I've put into it.
Yeah.
So
you've taken the lessons that you learned in Stave Blasters, modified them, and you've come up with ATOM.
Now, Stave Blasters was a group program, so there was like up to 4 or 5 kids at one time.
Okay.
So that, and for that we were doing a lot of craft activity. It was summer holidays, so the kids were sort of had plenty of time.
Yeah.
So the summer holidays program, we had a lot of craft activities, we had some cooking activities, all to do with music.
Wow.
And we had also like online quizzes, or quizzes that we did together in a group format. So we set up the shed as a movie room.
Right.
Put in a projector in there, and so basically, one of the basic format was this: I'd come up with we'd be looking at a concept, say the major scale. We'd go and play an outdoor game. Then we'd come in and we'd do the test, not the test, but like a quiz where they just called out the answers in the little group based on what was on the computer. So I designed all those quizzes. Yeah. Okay, and then we go on to so each session there was 2 hours, so there was 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 different activities we'd do.
Right.
Then the next activity would be an indoor activity. Here in this room where there's air conditioning,
right?
Because it was really hot.
Yeah.
And then later on we might go out and do another indoor. So outdoor game, indoor game, or craft activity. Yeah. But in between each of the changes of activity, we'd do the quiz to consolidate what they just learnt during the game.
Right.
So game consolidation, game consolidation, game consolidation type thing.
Right.
Okay. So the idea of ATOM is basically the same idea: game.
Yeah.
And then consolidation. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do 2 games.
All right.
2 games.
Okay.
And I did my master's degree on teaching the major scale. Now, the major scale is a really difficult concept for young children to grasp.
Right.
Because kids want to know the names of the notes on the stave so they can read them.
Yeah.
How long they are so they can sort of play them the right length.
Right.
And things like louds and softs.
Right.
And they want those 3 or 4 things are all they need to play a new piece. So the major scale is kind of getting into quite theoretical territory because it's not so obvious what it's about for kids. Okay. So you've got to kind of sort of... It's very important in theory, and once they understand it and you can apply it to other situations, you go, oh, okay, it's essential. Right. But a 7-year-old kid doesn't think of it as essential, so you've got to make it kind of fun.
Right, gotcha. I see what you mean.
So we're doing the major scale now. Now, the major scale is basically a combination... It's basically, I describe it as a formula. Yeah. It goes tonic, home note, tonic, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Yep. So it's just like a formula. Yeah. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to play a game called Sun, Star, and Moon.
Sun, Star, and Moon. I like it.
And basically what it is you have a little sun.
Yeah. Represented by a tiny, tiny cushball thing.
Tiny, tiny cushball thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And the job is this. Over here I also have some cards. I have some moon cards.
Right.
Laminated, of course.
Of course, because
lamination is everything in this world. I've got some moon cards, and I've got some star cards.
Okay.
Okay, now if you think of a major scale, it's got tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Yeah. So it's got 5 tones, and it's got 2 semitones in the formula. Now, tones and semitones are kind of like blah, blah words to kids.
Right, yeah.
So what we do is we're trying to be the first person in this game, is the object of this game is to be the first person to gather enough tones, i.e. moons.
Okay.
5 moons.
Yeah.
And 2 stars.
Okay, so 5, the moons are the tones.
And the stars are the semitones.
Gotcha.
Okay. So, this is how we do it. We roll the dice. Now, what we're looking at is a game board here
Yeah.
with pictures of moons and stars all over them.
Yep.
Okay, and I'll show you how it goes. I've played this game before. The kids like 1. Now I'm just going to jump onto the board. It doesn't matter where.
Okay.
That means I've got a moon, so I'm going to take a moon.
Oh, right. Okay.
Now it's your turn.
All right. So I roll the dice.
Roll your dice. Jump
5.
on the board. So, okay. There you go. So
So
put 1 on there. So 1.
yeah.
1.
So I can. I
Follow the
arrows.
others. Yep.
Okay.
1,
1, 2, 3, 4,
5. Oh, you get a
5.
star!
I get a star.
Yay!
Those must be the harder ones to get.
Yes, there's fewer
Yep,
of them.
Fewer of them.
On
Okay,
the board.
so I'm winning at this point.
Well, you're not winning.
It seems like I am. It seems like
Well,
I'm winning.
that's incorrect for you to
Okay.
make that assumption. 1, 2, 3, 4. I get another moon.
Nice. Okay.
So I've got 2 of my 5 moons.
Stop trying to take more than one. You're cheating.
They're straight out of the limit. They're roasting hot.
When did you start your masters?
I started that 3 or 4 years ago, and I did it in pieces.
Right.
There's because to do a masters. By the way, Liam's has got a moon.
I got a move. Yeah.
To do the masters, you have to do a research methods paper,
Right.
and you have to do a whole few other sort of things. 1, 2, 3. Another moon.
All you're getting is moons.
I'm getting moons,
and I already have a star.
Yeah,
so
I know.
I don't know what you're doing.
Don't know either.
Yeah.
You've got to roll the dice first.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, cool. 4. Ooh, 1, 2, 3, 4. He's on to moons.
Another moon. I've got the moons now.
Oh, he's got the moons. Oh, yeah.
I've got the moons.
And so basically, what happens? The masters is you do you kind of do. There's a few sort of preemptive papers you do, like a research method. You kind of have to do, and then you there's 3 or 4 other papers you do. Dissertations is what I did. So I had 2 dissertations to do. The first dissertation was doing the major scale thing.
Yeah.
That featured also books and literature and stuff as well. That was a whole other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then my second dissertation was making the model that I developed for that, which was called the Scale for Scales model,
Yeah.
and making it an online resource. Okay, so there was 2 parts to my dissertation that I did,
Right.
as well as the research methods paper, as well as an ORF music paper, which I did years ago.
Right.
So it was all kind of credited that way. So it took 2 years to do that, but I fast-tracked my way onto that. Many years ago, I did a postgraduate diploma in education through Massey University, which gave me means I didn't have to do quite so much.
Right. Okay.
Okay, rolling the dice. What colour were you again?
I was
You're
the
pink.
pink one. You're the yellow one.
That's right. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another moon.
Oh man, you're gonna get all your moons before I.
I know, but see, that's the challenge. Follow the arrows. 1, 2.
So what happens if you get too many moons?
Well, if you land on a thing you've already got, you just have to wait. You have to roll and roll and roll until you get the right combination.
Oh my god!
So you might go, oh, I'm on a winning streak here, but fundamentally,
Right.
you're only on a winning streak if you have the right combination.
I see.
1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm down to my last moon now.
Okay, yeah, you've got
So-
all your moons.
So if I roll another moon, then I'm stuck. I have to just keep rolling until I can get another star.
okay.
You see.
Interesting.
Interesting. So there you go. 1. Oh, 4. 1,
2, 3, 4.
Oh,
Try
but
and
see,
cheat me out of
you're now looking at 4 moons and
4
1
moons
star.
and 1 star. So I'm well on my way.
You're well on your way to having that
Yeah.
that wonderful combination
Exactly.
of moon, star, star.
You did a postgraduate in education.
Yes.
Um,
Star. Yes.
Oh, damn it!
Now I'm ahead.
You are actually.
Have
You've
at
just got
you.
1 star to go.
But you've got 1 moon to go.
Yeah, but I got
And
a
there's
moon
more
and
moons to get.
A moon and a star.
Yeah, that's true.
So that means that you are a
Don't
qualified
touch my play
teacher.
thing.
Oh yeah.
Well,
1,
I
2,
started.
3,
No,
4,
the
5,
qualification
6.
for being a teacher was diploma in education,
Right.
which I did years and years and years ago.
Right.
So then the postgraduate diploma in diploma in teaching was the one that gave me. So my music degree, then a diploma in teaching, and I did primary school. Most people who do a music degree or something will do secondary, but I actually wanted to do primary.
Right.
Because this is the kind of stuff you get to do in primary.
Yeah.
Though I've done stuff with my college, and they love this kind of stuff too. So I'm beginning to realise
Really?
that kids are kids, regardless of what age. And look, I'm enjoying it. I enjoy this kind of stuff. So, so did the postgrad, the teaching diploma, then taught for a few years, then did the postgrad in education, then taught for a few more years, and then decided to do the final masters.
Right.
So that's how that process went.
So
Okay.
what came first for you then, teaching or music?
Music was the first degree I did.
Right, but in terms of what you thought you wanted to do.
1, 2. I wanted to be a musician, but that's really hard.
Right.
So it's kind of a combination. I did teaching at the end of my music degree, going, I don't know what else to do. I'll just do this teaching diploma. Well, I didn't really know what else to do.
Yeah.
And so I did it. And I kind of just, because my heart wasn't really in it when I was 21 or whatever. I was like,
Yeah.
this is just because I'll get some teaching work until I can get my real passion of being a musician. Oh, you got to...
I got it, marvellous. I've got everything.
Oh, mazel tov. That's a little what a Stave Blaster's kind of lesson is about.
That is a rousing success.
Well, you're an adult, so you kind of probably you take it on board, and kids.
Well, I did all this theory as a kid already, so this is stuff that I.
You had prior knowledge. Always important to activate prior knowledge.
Yeah, but but fun too. It's a fun game,
and the kids always win.
It's particularly fun because I won.
Yeah, but you would have won. You would have won anyway.
Would have won anyway.
You always win. Because what you want them to do is go... you also, there's the whole psychological thing, you want them to have a positive association with the major scale.
Yes.
So if they go, oh, it's major scale, back in their brains go, oh, I won a game with that, great. So they feel that they understand it.
Right.
Yes. Or they feel that they know it and they enjoy it.
Well, it's that association.
Yeah.
Positive association, as you say. Is that something that you learn when you study teaching?
I would say, I don't know if you learn it when you're actually doing your teacher course. I think you learn it when you're on the job.
Right.
And you learn, there's a theory in academic learning, sort of in terms of theories of learning and behaviour, called a constructivism, which is basically where, as humans, we learn from other people. Or we learn from our peers.
Right.
Whether our peers are a group of trainee teachers or a pair of students the same age or students of a different age. Yeah. Stave Blasters, there was a range of ages. We had 7 to 12-year-olds.
Right.
But that became the peer group for them.
Right.
So constructivism says basically they learn from their peers.
Okay.
So your job is, when you're doing a game like this, is to come across as their peer. That's why you play the games together.
Right.
Because you're peers then. You're sort of co-into it all together.
Okay.
And then... basically, obviously, the adult new sees the child win, so they have a positive association.
Gotcha.
But I learnt a lot of the stuff I learnt from my peers when I was doing my actual teaching.
Okay.
Because in a learning environment like a teacher training course, you learn stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not always, you don't know how to apply it. You just sort of you learn the stuff to get through the essays and the assessments. Yeah. It's not until you actually, and a lot of the stuff you just don't need really. Right. It's good to know.
Right.
But you learn as you go. I always sort of said, people should always just do our teacher training course and just be teachers for a year, just to work out how people are, and how politics works.
Yeah.
Because basically, a classroom is just a little community with all its factions and all its fighting and all its crap, and you as a teacher have to sort of keep that to a dull roar,
right,
without making it. Just keep it pleasant.
So you found you were learning from
other teachers and also from the kids. So you try something like this, it doesn't work in a particular way, so you go, you better just change.
Right, gotcha.
We describe that as reflective teaching. So there's a lot of reflective teaching is the way we kind of do it all now.
Right.
But that's pretty much. So it's all. So the masters and all the stuff has just come from what I think would work. So a lot of it was instinct, going well, kids, and also in my masters, the kids like these kinds of games where they collect stuff.
Right.
They like to collect sets of stuff.
Yeah.
Kids they love to collect sets and they love to arrange things into sets.
Like Pokemon cards.
Like Pokemon cards or whatever cards they like. Sets.
Yeah.
So it's about getting into that sort of set mentality and going, that's interesting.
Yeah. Pokemon cards probably a bit of a dated reference at this stage, but you
got
no.
Well, actually, Pokemon is still around a little bit.
Well, Pokemon's still around. Yeah, I don't know if people are collecting the cards like they used to.
Well, then they had Digimon, and then you had all sorts of other. I used to confiscate your cards.
Did you?
I used to be the one who had to confiscate. We had so many fights in the playground.
I bet you did. Do you remember when marbles came back?
Yes, I was doing my teacher training. That was the year before Pokemon.
Right.
Because I was doing my teacher training, marbles were back.
Yeah.
Then there was, up in Auckland, where I did my training, there was, what were they? Chatterings.
Oh, yes.
Chatterings are pretty big.
Everybody had a chattering.
Work out what the attraction to the chattering was, to be honest. Now, looking back...
You had to see how long you keep it going.
I know, but...
You flick the things and then you go... And you go like this, like pulling on a rope, you know.
Nah.
Didn't get it? Well, you were much more mature than...
I was an adult. Even though when I was teaching, I thought, why am I doing this? Because I'm the most unadult person I know. And teachers... And I remember having this moment going, teachers are the most adult people that anybody ever encounters. They're so adult. Yeah. Because they're so in charge, and they have to be in charge. Yeah. And I thought, that doesn't fit me at all. I'm just complete... I don't care what happens to other people. But apparently you have to get over there. Which was a surprise to me.
Was that revelation the beginning of the end for you in terms of teaching classrooms?
I love teaching my individuals. Yeah, I didn't really fit the fit for teaching wasn't classroom teaching wasn't something I kind of struggled with that a little bit,
right?
Because I never felt like I always tell people I felt like an actor playing a teacher,
right?
In a classroom setting. Right now, but the thing is, because you're working so closely with individuals, you can get to know them really well, and you can do more peer stuff.
Yeah.
When you're in a group, you're trying to stop each group from each group within the class from falling out.
Herding cats.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I guess with one-on-one stuff, you can tailor it a bit more.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the good thing about this sort of stuff is these games. I've got a 6-7-year-old coming later. I might play this with him, and he'll do really well. I can tell you. But he'll forget, so we can play it again. But not in a year.
Right.
Or, we can just go, remember that game we played? Do you like that game? Let's do that game again.
Right.
And so it acts as revision as well.
You did Peter Pan.
Peter Pan, then Oliver.
You were a little shit in Oliver.
I was.
How long did that phase last?
Well, then I had to go. My sense of entitlement carried on until I auditioned for Oklahoma, and I didn't get like a lead part.
Oh,
and I thought, what?
Scandalous.
There must be something wrong.
Yeah.
But no, it turned out that I wasn't quite what they wanted.
Right.
And that was not a revelation to me because, you can't win them all. But first being told, oh, what do you mean? I didn't get that part. What do you mean? But at that time, I started doing musical direction.
That was going to be my next question.
Because
so
basically,
around that time.
Yeah, what happened in Oklahoma is there was musical direction. She was okay, but I sort of took a few little groups and stuff just to because I was a piano player and doing lots of stuff.
So how long had you been playing piano by that point?
Oh yeah, I've been playing. I was doing professional piano stuff by 15.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
When did you start piano?
Was it 8?
Right. Okay. So have you always been able to sight read? Because you're an amazing sight reader.
I don't know why that is. I try to teach my kids to do lots of sight reading, but I don't know. I can't remember if my teacher did lots of sight reading. I actually can't remember.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe she didn't, and maybe that's what's good. I don't know.
Right.
But basically, well, my sight reading is always pretty good. I don't know why.
Right.
I've often thought why that would be. Obviously, I used to play in church.
Yeah.
Which was. Obviously, you're looking at hymns and stuff, and I guess you get used to playing chords and stuff, and then you find those chords turn up another piece of music, and your hands already kind of know where they are.
Right, yeah.
And so the sight reading is partly looking at every single note, but also partly going, well, this is clearly just a D major chord. So, it's about being efficient with your looking and going, okay.
Yeah.
So, and then after...
It's just looking for accidentals and things.
Looking for patterns. That patterns keep coming along.
Right.
There you go, I did this and the other one. And you always learn new stuff.
Yeah.
And then there was, after Oklahoma, there was Sound of Music, which was my first big musical direction.
Right.
I did it with another lady called a more experienced one. She sort of... So I was only 18 or 17 or 18 at the time.
Yeah. So
I had to sort of work out whether, I felt awkward, ordering all these adults about.
Right.
And I just didn't... I sort of struggled with that a little bit because I was quite a polite kid.
Right.
By this stage.
Yeah.
But obviously needs must. So I did that.
Yeah.
I did a couple of other things, Cinderella. Then I went up to university after that, and I just heaps of stuff up there.
Yeah.
Heaps of stuff. Well, because I found my music course really easy, which was great.
Right.
So that gave me sort of mental time to do shows.
Yeah. This was in Auckland.
Yeah. So I did my most stint I did one year was 5 shows, maybe 6,
right,
possibly 7. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Often I was in the band as well, so often you'd just be called in for the season students to this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And then it just grew from there, really.
Okay.
So I can't remember how many shows. It was about 60 or 70 shows I've been involved with. Probably about 30 maybe 25, 30 I've musically directed.
Right. Yeah.
But being involved in the orchestra or vocal coach or some other thing, whether it be arranging some music or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a lot that can be done.
So when did you start composing?
I did my degree in composition, but I composed.
Right.
I started composing when I was about 15 or 16.
Right. Yeah. So at what point did because you composed the music for the clock tower?
Yes.
In Stratford.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think many people know that, but that was you.
That was me.
When and how did that come about?
Well, they were looking for. They had the clock tower. Obviously, has these figures that come out.
Yeah.
It's all sort of timed. It happens 4 times a day.
Right.
And there's like this little presentation that happens, the Glockenspiel, what's called. So basically, at I think it's what is it? I think it's 10, 12, 2, and 4 maybe.
Right.
I think there's one at 7 as well in the evening. I don't know. But basically, these figures come out. It's only takes like a minute and a half, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But there's words from Romeo and Juliet, and they're all the figurines are also timed to come out of these little window things.
Yeah, that's right.
Casements.
Yeah.
Pop their heads through and timed in with Romeo. And so basically, the Stratford Business Association asked me to compose some music for that. My partner Gord was on the Business Association, and he sort of put a word in. So.
Right.
I'm watching it too, but it's still there. They recently redid it all. They recently redid the Clock Tower recording because I was also the voice of Romeo.
Right.
But
so no longer, presumably.
No, they've got somebody else here. And the reason that, we put that up in 2011, just before, like quite literally the day before I moved to Tyrone.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Wow.
The night before, actually.
I didn't know it was that recent.
2011.
How about that?
And then that obviously lasted until last year when they said, we're going to redo the recordings. It's partly because they sort of wear a little bit, but also just to freshen it up. But the music's staying the same, it's just the voices are changing. Okay. So that was that. And that's all I can tell on that one.
I thought it was earlier that happened.
No.
So I'm going to have to go back even further now to when you wrote an opera.
Yes, 2003.
Right.
That was Spanish Tragedy. I wrote that.
Yeah.
Staged it. Bloody hard work. Never want to do it again. And I'd also written some music for a ballet for a company down in Stratford.
Around the same time? Or
just before I left university.
So
before university.
Just a bit earlier.
So 1995, I started university. 1994, the summer holidays into 1995, that's when I sent the music through for this ballet.
Right.
Then the following year, actually 1996, the Stratford Mountain Singers did I wrote a cantata for them, which they did for their concert.
Right.
Opera was 2003.
What was the ballet?
Oh, it was called Springtime at Butterfly.
So it was an original.
It was all scored on my my Roland D20.
Yay!
It was almost pre GM, pre General MIDI.
Right.
I've still got a CD of it somewhere, but I must have it. 17 or 18.
Right.
And listening to it now is rubbish, but they seem to like it.
We should play some underneath us talking.
Yeah. No, we're not going to do that.
You started teaching in 97.
99.
99.
Started 99.
You started here and then went to Scotland? Or?
Yeah, started in Remuera Primary, then Katima College. Then I did actually work in adult education before I went to Scotland.
Okay.
I was a licensing consultant.
Ah.
I used to speak at night classes about managers. So, but that actually took over from the classroom teaching. So for a while I was just doing that.
Right.
And then I went to Scotland for the first few, because the Scottish teacher registration process is quite rigorous, so it took 6 months for my registration to come through.
Right.
So in the first few months I just had a little admin job, which was quite good.
Yeah.
Did the job. I didn't have too many. I was boarding and somebody's at my costume too, but
right.
And then I went to teaching in 2004 November. Went back to teaching.
Right.
In Scotland, and I did that for a little while.
So you wrote and staged the opera in Scotland?
No, I wrote the stage for the opera in Auckland in 2003.
And then went back to Scotland?
No, I don't went to Scotland first time. So 2003 was... I was still,
right. So you were still...
I left for Scotland in February 2004.
Right. I'm with you now.
And so 2004 through till 2007 I was in Scotland.
Okay, so the opera was before
that.
Well, let's talk about the opera then. What was the opera? How long did it take you to write?
It was called Spanish Tragedy. I've since rewritten it called With Roses, so it's a bit smaller. It was huge.
Yeah.
Large, visions and dreams. Based on the Spanish Tragedy, which I'd learnt about when I was at university. I did a paper on Shakespeare and Chaucer.
Right.
And Spanish Tragedy was mentioned in passing with reference to Hamlet.
Okay.
Because in Spanish Tragedy, the play within a play happens.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Murder of Gonzago.
No, not Gonzago.
Gonzo.
No, Gonzo. No, what happened? Oh, it's a long story, but basically, Horatio was murdered early on. So his father, Hieronymo, murdered the people who murdered his son during the dumb show. So.
Okay, right.
And that was at the end. And then he went mad. And in my version, he threw himself out a window.
Right.
I don't know. I think he just stabbed himself in the original play, which I thought was a bit boring.
Yeah.
They always did that. It's obviously a convenient way to end somebody's life.
Yeah.
A sort of Shakespearean times. It's like, oh.
Everybody gets stabbed.
Yeah.
In Shakespeare, yeah. It's just stabbing.
Or poisoned.
Or poisoned. Yeah.
But the same sort of idea. So I did that, and I did bits and pieces from. I just chipped away at from while I was teaching from 1999 through to 2002, 2003, something.
Right.
And we got together a cast of about 25.
Right. Full scale.
Full-ish scale, yeah. 25. Well, one of the problems with the show was that... one of the many problems with the show was it was very long.
Right.
But also, at one point, Isabella, Hieronymo's wife, she goes mad.
Yeah.
And in my version... In the original play, she stabbed herself.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah.
But in my version... Because her son Horatio was hung in a tree.
Yeah.
So she cut the tree down in her madness and let it fall on her so she could rejoin Horatio. And of course, so, Hieronymo was avenging the death of both Horatio and his wife as well.
Right.
So a tree falling down on him. That was the challenge. But we had some good costumes, and at the time I was working at the Jewish school, and the woman who runs the Santa parade.
Yeah.
Pam Glazer, she gave me all my costumes for free from the Santa Parade excesses.
Wow, that's great.
She said, "Oh, well, that rack over there, we haven't used them for a while. Just help yourself."
That's awesome.
We had to hire a couple of things in from a couple of places, but nothing too dramatic.
Right. Where was it staged?
At Ellerslie Town Hall, which sounds like a massive big thing. Don't know, it's a modern hall thing.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it was at Ellerslie Warmore, I can't remember.
Right.
Just 3 nights, 2 nights.
Right. Full orchestra?
No, just
not
a
full.
Just a backing. Just a backing.
Oh, right.
We did record it. We recorded. Everybody had mics, and we recorded it live.
Right.
But it was pretty full on. I haven't listened to it for years, and I don't think I want to listen to it.
We won't play any of that.
No. You don't need to. No. Not necessary. So I write smaller scale stuff. So I've just had my music published, like Tombola and Dice, which was a collection of piano pieces. In fact, it's upstairs, just arrived today.
Oh, wow.
Now I have to sell them. Not that I have any great fan base. And then my next one's called Arc-en-Ciel, which I wrote. It's piano stuff, because I play the piano. Easy enough to do.
Yeah.
And I played that for a gallery thing a couple of years ago.
Right.
I wrote it for a poetry night at the gallery.
That's right, yeah.
So I'm just getting that. I edit it and publish it. Sometimes it's just the editing that takes the time.
Yeah.
You want to go back and get it published, but you look at it and you go, well, it made sense to me as a sketching, composer, but actually if you were to present it to somebody else, they'd go, this is a hell of a mess, I don't want to play this.
Yeah.
So you've got to do that whole process of editing and proofing, and I find that really boring.
Right.
So it's not a job I particularly enjoy, but
no.
I've got some better software which makes the whole process much easier, but
yeah.
It's still just like, that doesn't look how I want it to look, so we can back and tidy it up.
Right, yeah. While we're on the subject of it, it's all this new sort of collection that you've got is all randomly generated.
Randomly generated. Well,
music.
So, yeah, it's a bit hard to explain, but basically, there is. I've got a tombola, like a bingo cage.
Yeah.
And basically, I don't know, because I'm working with lots of dice playing games, but basically I put 6 kinds of musical structure. So we had like a binary, a ternary, a rondo, themes of variations, and cyclic form. That's only 5, isn't it? And freeform.
Right.
And freeform. And basically, so you roll the dice.
Yeah.
Actually, no, but also I had my tombola around it. That's right, I'm skipping a step. The first step is take the tombola, and I've got 2 sort of charts, and there's numerical sort of values added to certain Italian terms which we use in music. So the first tombolaing happens when that's my alarm going off. When we that's just a speed one.
Yeah.
So there's 23 different speeds. Basically, or no, maybe 17 different speeds, and so you run the tombola and it says, 15.
Yeah.
So it's like, it'll be 15, which will be like vivace.
Right.
So that's the first bit done. We go, it's going to be something fast, vivace. And then there's a whole other list. You want to shut that door? Because this will pick that up. And then after that...
Oh, God.
Oh, no, what you've done?
It's all right, just...
And then after that, you've got 23 expression terms. So you roll the tombola again, and so 23 like sadly or fast or
Right.
not fast, sadly or grandly or pompously or
Right.
reflectively or whatever.
Yeah.
So you might end up with vivace, I don't know, something reflective,
Right.
vivace mesto, which might be quite fast but sad. So you're going, okay, how do that? Which is a challenge, but it's cool.
Right.
And then you throw the dice, going, well, how long is it going to be? Throw the dice. So you've got 6 sides of the dice: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes.
Right.
And basically, so that gives you how long it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Also, another dice throw tells you what time signature's going to be: 2, 4, 3, 4, 4, 4.
Right.
Compound time or free time, something like that.
Okay.
Or a regular time.
Yeah.
So you roll that. So you've already got the information about the speed, the style, how long it's going to be, and whatever that last one was I said. How many minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that was...
No, that's how long it's going to be. The time signature.
Time signature.
Yep.
And, of course, with that information, then you can calculate how many bars it's going to take to fill out the time.
Right.
And also you've got that... the next phase would be then to sort of work out what structure it's going to be.
Right.
So you calculate how many bars there are, and then you roll
Based on the beats per minute.
Yeah, beats per minute.
Yeah.
And then you roll it again, and this is where your structure comes in, your different forms, it says. So it's going to be 4 minutes, vivace mesto, it's going to be in cyclic forms, it goes A, B, C, B, A.
Yeah.
That gives us the information that we need to go, okay, this is what it's sort of about.
Right.
Then we get into the details, we roll we use a random numbers generator on the computer, and I've got from C to B, there's 12 tones
Yeah.
in a scale.
Sure.
So you've got a list of those. You randomly generate. You've obviously worked out how many bars in each section.
Mm-hmm.
So you randomly generate. Say you need 6 bars each section. You tell it to randomly generate 6 numbers from 1 to 12.
Right.
Those are your root notes. Then there's another list of maybe 24 different chord forms: major, minor, 9th, 7th, minor 7th, and you go 1 to 24, 6 randoms from those.
Yeah.
So you take your root notes,
Yeah.
and your chord forms, and you put them together, and that forms the harmonic basis of your piece.
Right.
And of course, then you've got all your different sections. And so
Yeah.
sometimes that'll repeat, or say you've got 5 sections, you know the harmonic basis for section A, then you work out section B, and then you work out section C, and if it's repeating section A, it comes back again. And
Right. Yeah.
so basically, it's all random generated.
And your melody comes from the chords.
But melody
that
comes
have
from
been
chords.
generated.
The one thing that you don't get randomly generated is basically the chords give you the notes you might use for your melody.
Yeah.
But the melody essentially is not randomly generated. It's
Right.
it's related to the harmonies that you've just come up with.
Right. Right.
So that's that one. So it's called tombola and dice. Obviously, tombola is the bingo thing,
Yeah.
and the dice, obviously, throwing the dice all the time.
Yeah.
And then there's random generation numbers, which I couldn't fit into the title. So
Tombola and dice is quite snappy.
tombola and dice.
You wouldn't want to add any more. I wanted to, just quickly, if you've got time, just wanted to go over, because I've never actually asked you how you met Gordon.
He was on a show. Well, I met him at a read round
Right,
of a show that I didn't actually end up doing,
right,
but I went along, and he was with somebody at the time.
right.
So that sort of went. We sort of came across each other during shows and things like that. Just
Yeah.
he was backstage and I was usually on stage, and then eventually we sort of got together and doing Cinderella.
Right.
He was Buttons,
Ah, yes. Yeah, that makes sense.
so he was. We did a few shows together, but then that was when it sort of happened. And so
Yeah.
after that, yeah.
So it happened in quite a short space of time. I mean, if you moved over in 2004...
Well, we'd known each other for 3 or 4 years,
Right,
but we hadn't ever sort of done anything.
right.
And then it just sort of happened that we're in the show together, and sort of the stars aligned, as they say. I don't know who says that.
Yes, yes. That's it.
So that's right, and so yeah, 10 years this year.
Wow, this year.
Yep, 10 years in March.
Congratulations.
10 years civil union.
Right,
We've had 10 years together now since as of November,
right,
but yeah, the civil union was March
right,
2006.
right. So you moved back here.
Yeah, well, we had our civil union here in my mum and dad's sort of garden, and
Yeah.
then we went back to Scotland for a year, then
Right.
we came back again, and we've been here since.
And did you go straight into... Because you both worked for the Stratford...
Basically, well,
Right.
because Gord had the property market was quite good,
Right,
so we made a bit of money on the house.
right,
And so what happened there was didn't need to work for 6 months.
Wow. Okay.
So during that 6 months, I reworked my Spanish tragedy into With Roses. So instead of having a cast of 25, I wrote it for 8 people.
Right.
And they double up characters and
Yeah.
things like that. Because you learn these lessons as you go.
Yeah.
8 people on the piano, rather
Right.
than 25 people in a fake orchestra. And then after that, eventually I got bored of being on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Cool was doing a bit of real estate stuff, but he did this, that, and the other. And then I got a job as a junior reporter at the Stratford Press.
Right.
Just because I, presented well in all interviews and thought, well, I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
Probably really hard to get a job like that now, actually.
Right.
Even in Stratford.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. But a small town gave me that opportunity. And then just moved through to senior reporter and just edited it a little bit with my mate Ray, who was our editor.
Yeah.
And then I moved into resource development, which is with a company up in New Plymouth called EBLS, which is now no longer.
Right.
And then that got me a bit more work at Bay of Plenty Polytechnic as a resource developer.
Right.
And so my interest in resource development came through from my writing with the Stratford Press through to my resource development. So the resource development was writing textbooks, so it was a writing relationship.
Yeah.
And then Bay of Plenty Polytechnic was taking that writing sort of skill and stuff like that, editing workbooks and then making online programs. And
Right.
just that idea of writing and taking difficult concepts and making them instructionally easy for people who have no knowledge of them.
Yeah.
My first course I wrote for Bay of Plenty Polytechnic on my own was road transport and logistics.
Hey.
I know nothing about that, so it was good. I had to research it, much like a student would have to research it.
Right.
But my job was to make decisions about what's the best, clearest way of presenting that complicated information.
Right.
Make it visually interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Assessments and things online, so there's quizzes and stuff to answer some questions.
So you're learning about the things as you go.
So you learn about them. Basically, you've got your unit standards which come from the government. They say, in order to get this diploma and whatever it is, you have to have covered these unit standards.
Right.
So you look at the unit standards, you download them, they're all freely available, and you go, I don't know that word, so I'm going to look it up, and then you just go, okay, that's what this means.
Right.
This is what that would look like in an illustration, so we've been designing illustrations and things like that.
Right.
So that's why I've got into my resource development here with Atom. So.
With Atom. Right.
And this is all, a grade 1's now covered through Atom, now it's working on grade 2 stuff. So my next job is to make sure that a student starts with me at the start of the year, grade 1, theory, and then by the end of the year has grade 2 behind them.
Right.
Enough knowledge. They don't actually have to do the exam if they don't want to.
Right.
But
they could if
they
they
could
wanted
if they want to. And I don't believe that kids need to be examined. Obviously, for some kids they want to. That's great.
Yeah.
But if we can make it fun that they know that information, and they can just keep building on that.
Right.
So I was going to be doing my doctorate. I'll probably do my doctorate in education next year, which is basically taking that sort of idea of instead of it being a private music teacher thing, make it somehow a regular classroom music teacher thing, or regular classroom teacher thing.
Right.
So you get a group of year 5s, year 6s in your class, and you make music theory as much a part of the program and this fun as part of the program as maths and reading and writing. Because we sort of say, oh, well, music's sort of this exclusive sort of club for people, but it's like, well, I don't think it is. I think it's around us all the time.
Yeah.
So the kids should know what is making, what's it made of.
Yeah.
Because it is around them all the time. Kids are listening to it. It's on their games. It's on their, on their devices. It's on their computers. It's on their phones. The phone makes it sound noise.
It's on TV.
It's on TV. It's everywhere.
In movies, yeah.
So, but trying to understand how, and music theory, I find obviously can be made quite easy.
Right.
So we just have to go back to.
So you could adapt this really not just for music, but for other subjects as well.
I think so. That's the idea for other subjects that haven't received the coverage in a classroom that they should have.
Right.
But it's all. I think I need to be a primary school teacher to come up with something like this.
Right.
I've worked with secondary school teachers, and they're very much, well, this is what we need to get through for the exam.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm more like, well, this is what's really good to know, and this is how much fun it is.
Right.
Rather than it being this examinable thing.
Yeah.
So it becomes sort of part of a person's, personal zeitgeist.
That's great. And here we are. We are back at Atom. We've come full.
I know.
circle. Isn't that wonderful?
That's atomic.
Almost like it was planned.
No, it wasn't planned.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. That's what I mean.
Just
It's
me
like-
being. That's me being a teacher. Summing up.
Exactly.
Making summations.